Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, thanks for joining me tonight.
Good to be with you, Ari.
Bottom line, is the Speaker trying to make news here and raise the bar and thus the expectations on what it would take to impeach President Trump?
Well, I think what the Speaker is doing is drawing a clear delineation in terms of what the House Democratic Caucus is all about. We didn't run a campaign last year and seize control of the House of Representatives based on a desire to impeach the president. We ran a campaign under our For the People agenda, indicating that we were going to focus on driving down the high cost of life-saving prescription drugs, increase pay for everyday Americans, enact a real infrastructure plan, and clean up corruption and bring our democracy to life. That's what we ran on. That's where the Speaker appropriately wants to keep our focus on as we move forward.
That makes sense. I'm going to push you on it, though. I think everything you said is about supporting basically the policy agenda to try to improve working people's lives across America. No doubt there's a record on that. But wouldn't you agree with me, real talk, that the majority of people in your district, the majority of Democratic voters already think that Donald Trump has abused his power, and they were expecting, at least waiting until Mueller issues his findings, to say whether or not there would be potential impeachment proceedings?
Well, that is correct, and I don't think anything that the Speaker said is inconsistent with that notion. Still are going to take a wait-and-see approach as it relates to the investigation being conducted by Bob Mueller, as well as the investigation being conducted by the Southern District of New York. You know, at the end of the day, impeachment is the ultimate political death penalty. It was included in the Constitution for extraordinary circumstances, and as the Speaker laid out, we should only proceed absent a compelling finding that allows us to make the determination that we should go down this road.
But
now, it is clear, and
Congressman, she didn't just refer to the evidence, which was what you're calling wait and see. She said as part of the standard, this would have to be, quote unquote, bipartisan. And you know, a lot of people look at the conduct of the Republicans in the Trump era, and they say, why would anyone in power with subpoena power running the House wait on them to make their own independent judgment about what Mueller may or may not find?
Well, two things. We're going to continue our aggressive oversight function as it relates to being a check and balance on an out-of-control executive branch. That is consistent with our constitutional responsibilities. With respect to impeachment, as you know, listen, the House fundamentally is the grand jury. The Senate is the ultimate jury. Impeachment is like an indictment. And we can indict in the House of Representatives if the evidence is compelling enough to move forward. But the ultimate objective, presumably, of the people who believe appropriately that Donald Trump has presided over chaos, crisis, confusion, and a culture of corruption is to remove him. And what the Speaker has made clear is that to get to removal, you will need at least 20 Republican senators in the other House of Congress.
So let me see if I understand, because
reality.
You're speaking to an intricacy that you may know of because you deal with her daily, but that wasn't quite in her statement, which is making waves tonight. Are you saying that she's basically laying out a position that she's not going to go newt and go the battle plan that's on a partisan basis in the House without a longer-term strategy for what it looks like in the Senate, and that you would have to build either through the events, the evidence, whatever is uncovered about the president, you have to build the support for that being a possibility in the Senate. Otherwise, it's not worth it to get it started at all?
Well, I haven't had an opportunity to speak directly with Speaker Pelosi about the context of those remarks, but I can interpret them.
I heard you guys are tight.
Right. Well,
that's what I heard. I heard you guys talk about things.
Yeah, we're all down with NDP. But listen, at the end of the day, I do know that Chairman Jerry Nadler of the Judiciary Committee, Speaker Pelosi on other occasions, myself and other members of the House Democratic leadership have made the observation that there's a distinction between impeachment and removal, and that in order for us to proceed, ultimately, if there's a conclusion that this president has presided over a cult of criminality and corruption is totally out of control, such that the ultimate political death penalty is merited, you have to do it in a bipartisan way if you're going to get to removal. We can indict in the House of Representatives, but in order to convict, it has to be done with Democrats and Republicans and the full support of the American people. I agree with Speaker Pelosi that that is the reasonable way to proceed.
Very interesting, because this is making waves, and she's obviously speaking to a constituency that's got a whole bunch of different views on again, what you call the documented corruption of this particular president. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries from Leadership, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Ari.